You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Okay, here we go. Tuesday edition of Leafs Morning Take, presented by Bet365. Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill. This show, as mentioned, is a presentation of Bet365. Hockey fans, check out Bet365's 3-goal early payout. When your team goes up 3, you get paid. It's that simple. Download the app today. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. What's going on, Rosie?
What is going on? I guess it's game day. Isn't it?
It's the annual mentors trip too. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, used to be called the dad's trip, but that was sexist and wrong, and now it's your mentor, which is cool, man. That's all good. So fun for them. Too bad it's not on better terms as far as how your season's going and what you're playing for and what's happening around the team. But no, I'm sure whoever's bringing their dad or their mom or their brother or their sister or whoever, that is a fun time, and clearly memories are made during that trip for sure.
Didn't you have a fun time with your dad one of the years? I know you've told the story before on this podcast. Ironically enough, the opponent for tomorrow's game, you were on Broadway against the New York Rangers, and you had a couple, and then you found out you were in the lineup, right?
Yeah, we went. We were ending up in Manhattan, and I think we were there for 2 nights or something happened. But Colton Orr's dad, I remember he didn't go to bed and was just leading the charge with the dads. Then he was in the gym in the morning, just an absolute animal, as you'd expect. Complete beauty, awesome dude. And then me and my dad went out, and we were just, I don't know, he's kind of blown away by the size of New York, and we were checking places out. So people told us where to go. We ended up kind of bar hopping a little bit, just tasting different pints and craft beers and stuff. Kind of hit me a little hard in the morning. I was like, geez, what the hell did we have? And what time did we get home? And a little fuzzy. Went to pregame skate, and then we were making a plan with Keith Ollie and his dad, who's a farmer from Rollo, Saskatchewan. And we were going to go see some sights around the thing during the game. And then Wilson came up, and he's like, hey, Grabowski's wife just went into labor. You're playing tonight. I was like, yikes. But all things went well. We won that game. I think I fought Prost at center ice at MSG, and we scored while I was in the box, and the dads were all rowdy on the bus. It was awesome. It was so fun, man. You go out for dinners, and just the dads get to see what the show is like, right? It's pretty sick. I remember that day we pulled the bus up to the MSG, which is underground, and Lundqvist wheels up in his flat black Lamborghini and gets out with his suit. He looks like Bruce Wayne, man. Everyone was just like, no, there's a dude and a half. Just stupid shit like that you see when you're playing in the show. You kind of tell your family or dad or brother about it, and it's not the same. And when they get to come and just do it all with you for a whole road trip, it's really awesome. So I'm sure those guys will enjoy it. But again, sure sucks that they're not the season's not on better terms.
Yeah, I was going to say it's unfortunate this is the way it's going down, and then they got the back-to-back. They're home to the New York Rangers on Wednesday, so it's busy. It's an indictment on this year's schedule, but it's also, you look at this disaster of a year. I know they look forward to this type of trip every year, but at this point, you're just counting down the games. I mean, there's 11 remaining. There'll be 10 after this one. But I do think it's cool to sort of get that aspect of what these guys do behind the scenes, who they hang out with, who's part of their immediate group that brought them up and are now in the NHL. So I think that aspect's really cool, and I think it really helps to humanize the situation. I think at times I'm as guilty as anybody else of just looking at these guys as movable pieces, but then you sort of remember there's a human behind these guys.
Yeah, I can see how that could happen. I don't really have that. I look at them as guys, and you're on a million different teams that I've been on, and there's always people from they have different stories, right? And there's guys from Sweden and from Russia and from the States and from Canada, and then guys from, France. I've played with guys from all over the place, and they all have their little story. They all have their journey. They all have their little spot on the depth chart, and they all have their little veterans and the captains and the leaders and the goal scorers and the bubble guys and the goalies. And there's just, everyone's got their own little story. And it's fun to see the dads come on, because you're like, oh my God, I can see this now. And pieces get put together. These things make sense. You notice like Wayne Simmons' dad was just this absolute character, man.
Yeah.
Hilarious, dude. He was wearing like snakeskin suits and was this just personality out the wazoo. It was pretty hilarious, and just to see where these guys come from, man, it definitely brings a human element to it to introduce those. It was the dads at the time. Sometimes a guy would bring a brother, a mom, or I can't remember all the different stories, but that started to change as I was on my way out of the league, where it's like, this is now not the dad's trip, it's the mentor's trip, which is probably more inclusive for sure. And I'm sure people are taking advantage of that. Whoever comes, they have a blast, no doubt.
Yeah, just as an aside, there's more to a team than just the players on the ice. And this year, it's just the players getting a mentor. And some didn't even bring a mentor on this trip. But I think in recent years, that everybody involved in the organization has been allowed to bring somebody on this trip, but not this time around. Numbers are a bit quieter, I would say, than last season. But just wanted to bring that up. Our super
trainers
chat
and everybody, you mean, or what do you mean by that? Like,
no,
I heard
like
that
medical
staff,
medical staff, media personnel, assistants. Like apparently it's just players this year.
I didn't know it was that before. I think in my day it was just players could bring. It was the dad's trip, and if your dad couldn't make it, you didn't have, well, like you could throw your brother in there or whoever. I don't know if moms would want to, a single mom would want to come in with all those dads. I don't know, but it's obviously different now, and it's kind of probably more fitting where you can bring anybody. I don't think the trainers in the staff there's only so much room on a airplane, Do you got to charter another plane for that? I don't know. I heard they're taking a little bit of heat for cheaping out with that, but just the pure volume of people and getting in and out and going places. I just remember it being, a bunch of dads came along with us to go with the players. So obviously that's changed, but that's not what they're doing this year. Honestly, man, like trying to plan something like that this season though, like I imagine everyone just wants to get the hell out of town.
I don't know if it was planned, Rosie.
Ended. I don't know, but again, just not the season. This is like the season from hell, and then you got to kind of force this thing. I can see how it's a little different this year. I'm sure the vibe is not quite as high as it is in years past.
Definitely. Our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure their question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. Did you know the Leafs have the worst record since the Olympic break in the entire NHL? They're 2-8-2, 32 of 32. But I think this actually extends further than that. I think the last 25 to 30, don't quote me on that, the Leafs have been the worst team in the league. So, definitely in contention for a top 5 pick, I would say. Perfect night for that, too, against Boston.
And they had that blip with Matthews where they were forced to play with a bit of heart all of a sudden. They got humiliated into playing hard for a couple of games and stole a few wins. So, yeah, I know it's very much on the table, man. This week is huge. You look at the standings and who they're playing, and there's, St. Louis in there, and these teams where it's like this. I don't know. I'm not saying this could make or break it, but like this will seriously get the momentum going as far as the tank is on the table or not. If they have a rough week here, and we'll see who's playing goaltender wise. We'll see who's playing all across the lineup. It's just funny to me where this, Craig Berube is acting like he doesn't even realize that a tank is something that the organization could benefit from. And I don't blame him for that. He's just going to coach one way and one way only. And basically like the old Moneyball saying, I'm going to coach in a way that I can explain in interviews in the off season, So I just surprised that management hasn't like shut down a couple guys, especially with the goalies being so prone to injury. Maybe wanting to look at, an Akhtiamov or a Hildeby. Like this is a great opportunity to see what these guys look like in the NHL. And it's an absolute freebie. You don't get those in the National Hockey League. You've got 18 freebies here that you're able to play down the stretch where you could totally mix in some other players. Look at Bo Gru. Like look at the way he is popping off. Saw a thing here sent by Zach this morning saying that he's got about almost as many points as Yarncroke has this year, despite playing 40 some less games. Nuts. Go give those guys a look. And if they aren't NHL ready or whatever, or they're a little bit green or you can still slide down to the, like, it's just kind of blows my mind. And it's not on Craig Berube. If you ask me, a coach is going to coach one way and one way only. I think the management needs to step up and kind of activate some of this tanking for themselves.
At any rate, speaking of Zach, the Leafs Nation After Dark following this game, make sure you check it out for his quick recap of this one, a road visit here against the Boston Bruins, the third and final meeting against the Bees. And also, speaking of which, coming up on today's show in about 20 minutes, Mike Grinnell, Grinnelli of Spittin Chiclets, will drop by. I'm pretty sure he's going to victory lap on the Carlo trade. He already sent me a text earlier today with a link to Chris Johnston's story about the Carlo trade, how bad it was from the Maple Leafs perspective, and said, oh, sorry, I sent this to the wrong person. No, he didn't. He's trying to victory lap. And he's going to get to speak his mind coming up in about 20 minutes here, Rosie.
Yeah, I mean, the trade's the trade. What I can't understand, and I think Tree Living acknowledged it, like a top 5 protected. How are you telling me you're giving them our top prospect and a first rounder for a D-man that they knew was, I mean, did we even watch this fucking guy the last couple? Like, what was Carlo doing in Boston for them to unload him and want to move on from him? A kind of a veteran, big right-handed shot defenseman. What did they know that we didn't? And did the Leafs do any recon on this guy in that season of last year where they traded for him? I don't know. But how, when giving them a first rounder and our top prospect in Fraser Minten, could you not have that? Okay, top 5 is like, who cares? We're leading the Atlantic. Let's make it a top 10. Was it an afterthought? Like, I'm pretty sure Tree said, we tried. They wouldn't do it. Like, are you kidding me? It's just, when it rains, it pours. It just doesn't end with the ridiculousness. It's top 5 protected, and we are in jeopardy of being like 6th or 7th. It's just unbelievable. But I'm sure Grinnell will rub a little salt in that wound and like you say, do a little victory lap over it, because it just could not look any worse right now.
It really stings, and I'm very curious to see what the perception was in Bees Nation when they actually made that trade, because we've been on the record of saying multiple times we liked the deal when it went down. Heck, we have evidence on our live stream of the trade deadline and us sort of celebrating the addition of Brandon Carlo. So I'm curious from that perspective, moving on from Carlo, how they felt. So Mike Grinnell coming up again in about 15 minutes here at the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to check out the LeafsNation.com. This segment is brought to you by Table Fare and Social, your go-to spot for pregame bites, after-work drinks, and good times downtown. Conveniently located directly across from the arena and just steps from Union Station in the Metrolinx bus terminal. Table Fare and Social offers a wide selection of food, cold drinks, and space for large groups, family-friendly fun, and ready to host your crew. Book a pregame party for your friends and colleagues at Table Fare and Social, located directly across from the arena. You haven't been here the last couple of shows, namely yesterday we talked about Craig Berube coaching like a guy who knows his fate. Is that what your takeaway was from the weekend? His blunt thoughts on Joseph Woll's performance and also what Easton Cowan had to say?
I don't know, man. I mean, he's obviously coaching the only way he knows how. You can tell he's frustrated, and it's just like the timing of what he says and when he says it doesn't really match up with what I'm seeing and what I would expect. I mean, first of all, big picture, I thought Craig Berube was going to be a little more no nonsense. Listen, guys, you're talented. Everybody knows that, including yourselves, but you don't fucking play the right way. You don't play the way that's conducive to winning a cup. I have won a cup recently. I have taken a team that is dead last, and I have reinvigorated them in one way or another to getting to the point where they win a goddamn cup. That is something. And I played old school hockey. I am no bullshit. I am a guy's guy. I am black and white. My communication is clear, and there's going to be some accountability going on with the way you guys fucking play and the inconsistency within it. That's what I thought Craig Berube was going to be. What goes on behind closed doors, we don't really know. What we can see is what he does on the bench, what he does in the interviews, what he says publicly. That's all we have to go off of. And after, the time here, I'm kind of surprised that the spots that he picks. Like, you get outshot by a million and outchanced like crazy, and both our goalies are playing well, and that's the time you pick to tell Woll that we could have used a save there on one of the many breakaways we gave up on him. Like, weird time to say that, And then you got a barely 20-year-old Easton Cowan who, like, fuck, man, whatever that guy says, like, the media in Toronto, you got to be kind of a wily veteran not to, like, misstep with one little word, right? And he takes that point in time to take Easton Cowan where he says, maybe we were a little deflated after we wanted to get into the game and then they scored first. Like, yeah, probably not your first choice of words. And why even say that? Whatever. The kid's 20. Let it go. Why kind of fire him up in the media and call that and shine a spotlight on the 20-year-old kid in a lost season because he used the word deflated? And he says, I don't understand that mindset. Of all the losses we've watched where he was just kind of ho-hum about them, how is that the time that you pick? I think frustration has definitely sunk in there. I'm sure he has a fairly strong feeling that his time in Toronto might be limited, as a lot of people do. But I guess just some inconsistencies and some question marks over the way some of the things have been handled in Toronto this year in particular. And again, I imagine he's very frustrated. I don't blame him for being frustrated this season one single bit. I imagine it's extremely frustrating coaching that group right now.
Personally, I think he's fed up. I think a lot of what he's been saying in the media, he's been saying all season long. I think he's saying it now because he understands one foot is out the door here in Toronto, and after 11 games here down the stretch, he's going to be relieved of his duties, and I think he has come to grips with that. And I think he wants to instill sort of how he feels and his mentality for the next coaching job that he interviews for. But I think that's what strikes me and resonates the most is just how fed up this guy is. And you could tell sort of in his demeanor the last little while, even since the Olympic break, he just hasn't been able to get that response. I mean, you played the game at the highest level. That's what makes a good coach. I think you learn more about a team, Rosie, after they lose as opposed to after they win, how they bounce back. And that was the one noticeable thing for me among many in year one under Craig Berube is their ability to bounce back after a difficult outing. They just haven't been able to do that this season.
No, they haven't. And I mean, the weird thing is, like, this whole era, they've had a lot of talent and they've drafted some studly guys that get the job done a lot of the times on the score sheet. But we know that this game has lots of different layers and there's a lot of different responsibilities and identity that you have to adopt in order to be successful in this league. We know that. They have struggled with that. They have struggled with emotion, with passion, and with commitment and with accountability. And I mean, you're seeing it now with Craig's interviews. He's showing a little bit of frustration. He has mentioned in a recent interview, same thing I've been telling them all year long, like a little bit of frustration showing, not anything major, not anything like, oh my God, like he's not losing it by any stretch. He's just kind of saying what maybe he would have held his tongue on in before the new year or something like that. And I get that. I can't believe that has been the problem, that they tried to rectify and they went the opposite direction. And I thought we would see a little bit more of a pushback from Craig Berube. I know you got to tiptoe in the media. I know you got to pick your spots. I know you can't let things get out of control with your post-game narrative or your press conferences. But I can't believe there wasn't more of this when, the beginning of the season, like October, November, December, any of like him saying this is ridiculous. Like, we need a response. We got shit. We weren't ready to play in the first period. I called them out personally, said, I better see some goddamn heartbeat from the guys in this room. And it starts from the top and it's every fucking one of you with that sweater on tonight. Now go out there and fucking rectify things in the second period. I told them that and they didn't. And like, oh shit. And maybe embarrass those guys a little bit. Maybe call it. That's the fucking problem. Everyone was unanimous about that. That was the problem. And now he's kind of showing a hint of frustration with it. I thought there was going to be more of it earlier. Why not? Like, the season was slipping away. Holy shit, the wheels are falling off. And it was just kind of business as usual. Ho-hum saying the same things. Surprised a guy like Craig Berube, who was brought in here to do a certain thing, didn't do more of it when it mattered. And now you're just seeing, like, I really could care less what anybody does or says at this point in time. She's done. But looking back at it, it's just odd that the spots that were picked and how it all went down. It's a bit of a head scratcher, man. I'm surprised that a guy like him let it get to where it did.
I would love to know the inner workings behind the scenes, because if we ever get a chance to do a debrief, if you will, with Craig Berube, that's going to be among the questions, is accountability. Because I'm right there with you. Like, that was a big sell point for me, is like, you bring in an accountable person. He's won recently. Like, he ticked a lot of boxes, defensive structure. And the accountability is the one that sticks out, where you look back at his 2 years here in Toronto, and you can count maybe on one hand, and they're all towards Willie Nylander, where he held guys accountable. And I just wonder if there's pushback behind the scenes, because how many times have we had to see guys walk back comments? The latest this season, Anthony Stolarz, right after he calls out his team, like the next day, it's like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. Like, it's happened a lot, but that does smell fishy in my world too, where it's like, you think this guy's going to hold these guys accountable, then he comes here and he's not the same guy that we thought he was, I guess.
And I mean, you go back to like, what was that? The first 10 games of the season where Stolarz called them out, and that was probably not the move to make, and he probably wouldn't do it again. And it was kind of a little turning point. Fine. But under that, why was he what was going on to make him say that?
Exactly.
And it was like, Willie dog fucking it. Like, sorry, unacceptable, dude. You're the leader of this team who's trying to get over the finish line, and you're dogging it in the first 10 games after being a whole offseason of rest. It's just unacceptable. And you go through the losses and some of the slides that this team has went on, and what we've watched and what their response is, and how they start games and how they respond to a slow start. Just so unacceptable. And it's all leads to where they are right now. Just a horrendous season. And I never want to like assume too much, because like, if you're coaching and then some guy like me or you is like, well, this is what he's doing and this is the message he's sending, you'd look at him and go like, you see about 4% of what I do and say to this team. So don't fucking act like you know what's going on, because you don't, man. Like, we don't see the vast majority of what goes on. All we can see is what they say to the media, what you can see they say on the bench, and the way it's presented, and the results and how things operate. It's a glimpse, so you can only speculate. So take it with a grain of salt. But I agree, like, to come in here, Berube, and fix the problems that this team, who is in their winning window, needs, and to have them go so far the opposite way. Like, their problem this season was their whole problem this whole era, and it was just full throttle with it. Like, the players just doubled down on their passionless, heartless, not give a shit, not be prepared, not be ready, not give it their all, not stick together, not like all the things that they needed to rectify. They went the opposite direction. It's just flabbergasting that happened under Craig Berube, who unanimously, when he was hired, people agreed that he would be the guy to rectify the problem. Sheldon Keefe didn't want to do it. It was kind of a buddy, like, you know, you guys, hey, don't want to step on anyone's toes here, like almost giving the guys too much respect. And then here comes Craig, who's going to kind of rule in a way that the guys will have to respect. And it just absolutely didn't happen. Now, you can blame Craig Berube for that and say, oh, you're not the guy for the job and you're a joke, blah, blah. In my mind, I'm like, how fucking bad is this culture where those guys all are willing to just turn their back and just go even further down the road and the abyss that is their inability to do things the right way? It's scary, man. And so many question marks these days because of that right there.
It definitely gets back to the culture at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're about 5 minutes away from Mike Grinnell of Spittin Chiclets dropping by. Leafs Morning Take here. There seems to be growing frustration as well with William Nylander. I've just been so disappointed with his play this season. I know the points are there, but it seems very empty calorie, and especially down the stretch, just the way he's conducted himself. It's funny you bring that up. Like, the whole Stolarz thing was sort of based around Nylander dog fucking it on a shift, and here we are 55 games later, and it's the same conversation. You talk about accountability. Where the hell is it?
Yeah, it sucks, man. Again, like, just he kind of sums up the era, right? He's super talented, tons of hype, got all kinds of ability, got the numbers on his piece of paper that can prove it, and he leads with that, right? Yeah, like he doesn't like, he's a leader of the team. He wears a letter. There's supposed to be some accountability there. Like, hey, young guys, Easton County, this is how it's done. This is how we win. Like, you get on Nathan McKinnon's team, guess what? things are done the right way. You are on time. You are early. You are doing the extra stuff. You're taking care of your body. You are in the gym. You are recovering. You are doing all that stuff that you need to, because the margins are so thin in the NHL. You have to do things properly and be a pro to fucking win. Nathan MacKinnon knows that. And what does Willie do? He's fucking more involved in his fashion and his purses and his accessories and his earrings and his fucking wife beater and flipping off the camera and dog fucking it, not back checking. Like, I'm sorry. You're still a good player. You're still talented. You still put up some points, but all that shit, that adds up to way too much, man. And as good of a player as he is, and I like him sometimes, but God, does he have some character flaws that have shown up so many times throughout this awful season. And you're supposed to be a leader, and you're supposed to be wear an A, and you're supposed to show guys how it's done, and you're supposed to be one of the guys that creates the culture to win in Toronto. You're fucking up left, right, and center, Willie. And there's a list of things that he's done that is embarrassing to the Maple Leafs organization this season alone. And rightfully so when he takes heat, man. That's not the kind of shit you do that's going to win you a cup. That's a fucking circus. And it has to stop. And that's why people are calling for serious change in this organization.
Train wreck right now. There's no doubt about that. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. A lot of conversation about the leadership core this team is bringing today's guest. It's Mike Grinnell from Spittin Chiclets. G, how's it going, buddy? How are you?
It's going a lot better than you guys. Jesus. Just listening in there. I mean, God. Yeah, things are great though. I mean, we signed James Hagens this morning, ATO. I'm loving life right now.
I bet. And this is the third and final meeting with your Bees. I guess we'll start with the Carlo trade. You can victory lap, like a year removed. How are we feeling about this trade right now?
Incredible. Just incredible. Like every day that passes, I feel better about this. It's like, God, for so long, it was like, I don't care if the Bruins even make the playoffs because I want a high pick. Well, thanks, Toronto. We got that from you guys. So that's awesome. And then just watching Fraser Minten on a night-to-night basis, it's like, look, I mean, the kid has 31 points. He's not lighting up the score sheet, but God, like you watch this kid play the game and he plays the game the right way. And I think that's so important for a 21-year-old kid because I just don't necessarily like the hockey IQ on this kid is unbelievable. And I was at the Beanpot the other night, and I was not the Beanpot, the Hockey East semifinals the other night. And I was actually talking to a few scouts about this, and it's like whether you can teach hockey IQ or not. And I feel like there's a fine line there of like how much you can really instill a hockey IQ into someone and beat it into someone's head. And Fraser Minten's got it. Like he's got the hockey IQ. He's got the drive. He's got the locker room presence. Everything you hear about this kid, and like Chris Johnston wrote that article in The Athletic today, and I was reading that, and just like everything you hear about this kid off the ice and his training and just how mature he is, he's unbelievable. And I think Bruins fans are so ecstatic to have this kid. And then there's the first round pick, which I mean, 7th overall, like I saw a tweet today and it's like the Bruins are going to get a defenseman who's going to play 1,000 games for them with the 7th overall pick, aren't they? and you kind of just feel that way right now. It's like, God, it's things are great though. This is things are good right now.
Oh, I'm seriously second guessing having you on right now with the vibes you're putting off right here. But I am curious. You look back at that trade. They were ready to win now. It was an 11th hour type of move at the deadline. Right-handed big D-man, Carlo. He's got a name. Okay. It seems like they didn't really do a lot of due diligence on them. You were obviously right there, ground level fan following this team. What was Carlo like prior to the deadline last year and their decision to get off of him?
So it's funny because I've always been a huge Carlo guy. I thought like his AAV is great. But one thing I said at the trade deadline is like, and luckily this hasn't happened in Toronto, was the guy is 1 or 2 concussions away from never playing hockey again. Like he's I don't want to say he's fragile, but he's had a lot of bad head injuries. And like the fact that Toronto was so willing to give a first round pick and a top prospect for a guy who takes one unlucky hit, he might never play hockey again. And that's not to add on. And like I said, I've always been a Carlo guy. I think in the locker room, he's great. I think he's an awesome dude, but he wasn't playing good hockey in Boston at the time. He wasn't. And it was like, that's where the due diligence thing you mentioned comes in, because it's like, yes, Brandon Carlo, he had played a ton of playoff games with the Bruins, and he had been a mainstay on the Bruins' top 4 defensemen for years. But at the time of the trade, he wasn't playing good hockey, and he's one concussion away from never playing hockey again. So at the time, I remember hearing that trade and being like, whoa, like, wow. I originally at the time thought, you get maybe a second round pick and a middle class prospect for Brandon Carlo. I would have been happy with that, but they got a first in Fraser Minten. It's yeah. And then what, like, going back to that Chris Johnston article, like hearing that it really came to, like, they weren't talking at 1:30, and then at 2:00, it kind of all started happening. And it's, to make a move that big, I feel like, yeah, like you said, Jay, like there should have been more due diligence. There should have been more research here, because, yeah, Carlo wasn't playing good. And yeah, it didn't make much sense.
In true Leafs fashion, a year removed from a busy deadline where every right-handed shooting defenseman seemed like they were on the move this year. And last year, I think just because of the market, Brandon Carlo was only the one of the very few potential names. But if you recall, like, I don't think Boston was prepared to move him, right? It was more so about Toronto stepping up with an offer they couldn't refuse. Obviously, it seems that way now. Yeah,
exactly. And you heard, like, Rasmus Anderson. That was another name that they were floating last year. And I think that would have been awesome. I don't know what the return would have been there, but I think Rasmus Anderson would have been like almost exactly what they needed. So yeah, it's just tough, man. It's like, at the time, everyone loved the move. Like, everyone did. Like, you go back and read all the grades, B+, A-, B. Like, it's tough to sit here and play Monday morning quarterback a year later when Brad Trelivik, after he made this trade, because, like, yeah, if I was a Toronto Maple Leafs at the time, I probably would have done the deal too. Just because, like, you had it last year. That was your shot at a Stanley Cup, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. Well, fortunately for me.
And going back to the Bruins deadline last year, some big changes, and oh my goodness, and Marchand and everything you made, it was gonna like how big of a retool, like how long is this going to be? And I think, like, unanimously, the vibes around Boston have got to be, this could not have gone any better. What have you seen in the last, I guess, 12 months and the steps they've made after the changes, man? I can't imagine you're not thrilled about it.
Oh, I think the whole city of Boston's thrilled. And, like, we got to remember, like, this, they were plus 10,000 to win the division. Like, nobody thought the Boston Bruins were going to be a playoff team. Like, that was, I remember we argued on Chiclets, are they closer to getting the first overall pick or closer to being a playoff team? I think the whole crew said they're closer to getting the first overall pick. So no one saw this coming. And then there was the press conference that Sweeney and Neely did around the trade deadline, where they basically were like, we're adding piss and vinegar. And, like, for so many years, Bruins fans have kind of heard that sentiment from Neely, the big bad Bruins. You want to bring back the Bruins of the 90s. And people were kind of fed up with it. They were kind of like, I don't want to hear this right now. Like, we need a top 6 forward. Go get us a first line center. And they were right. Like, they were spot on right. Like, and I really do think that the schedule has a lot, like the compact Olympic schedule. I do believe it has a lot to do with the Bruins' success this season. Because think about it, right? Like, you're playing 4 games in 6 nights, right? 7 nights, 4 games. It's your 4th game of the week. And you got to go into Boston and Mark Kastelik starting. Then you got to go up against Tanner Jeannot, Charlie McAvoy, like all these motherfuckers that are they just suck to play against. Like, they're just like, that, I think that's adding on, right? Because, like, no one, you say it every year, like, at this point in the season, no one's playing healthy. Everyone's a little banged up. But this season, more than seasons past, just because of the compact schedule with the Olympic schedule. So I think that's really benefited them. Jeremy Swayman as well. Like, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him. I think it's crazy he's not being talked about more for the Vezina. He has been unbelievable this year. He's been the Bruins' best player from start to finish. Has he had a few tough games? Yeah, absolutely. But every goalie does. But I think, overall picture right now, you're looking at the overarching success. Why is this Bruins team successful? It starts and ends with Jeremy Swayman.
I agree, and that's where my head goes, because suddenly in this market, everybody's like, let's pull a Boston, let's figure it out, and we'll rebound or retool, and we'll bounce back next season. But my pushback to that is, like, last time I checked, there's no Swayman on the Maple Leafs, there's no McAvoy on the Maple Leafs, there's no David Pastrnak. So what lessons do you think the Maple Leafs can learn from what Boston has done? And do you think it's realistic to think that they're just magically going to turn things around here?
I think like this is such a copycat league nowadays, where it's like, oh, Boston retooled in 1 year, so we can retool in 1 year. Well, it's like you just said, like, you don't have Charlie McAvoy, you don't have Jeremy Swayman. So, like, even feeding the fans that type of bullshit, it gets me so mad. Like, some of these GMs and ownership, and they piss on us and they tell us it's raining, is what they do. A lot of these, they think we're stupid. And we're not stupid. It's going to take a while for the Maple Leafs to turn this thing around, and you're crazy if you think otherwise. And I think this summer they have to go in and they got to evaluate everything. And in the conversation you had before I came on here about William Nylander, look, William Nylander is a cool guy. William Nylander, would I love to go have some beers, maybe a couple martinis at Soto, so whatever that soda is in downtown Toronto? I love that. I love it. But is that the guy I want setting the culture for my team? Probably not. Like, wearing the wife beater and flipping off the cameras in the press box. I don't know. Like, I never saw Patrice Bergeron do that. I never saw, Brad Marchand do anything like that. Brad Marchand was just licking people's faces on the ice.
Exactly.
But, like,
yeah, true.
I just don't think that's the guy you set the culture with. And I'd love to hear from you guys about Austin Matthews. Like, where does Toronto stand with Austin Matthews? Because I love the guy now. He got me a gold medal. So, like, I think the way Americans look at Austin Matthews is almost like, hey, this guy's a winner. Like, you think about the press conference after the Team USA won and the Hughes brothers like, hey, Austin Matthews is a winner now. Like, he'll be a winner forever. So, like, where do you guys stand on Austin Matthews? And if Austin Matthews was to go into ownership this summer and request a trade, would you guys feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the talking point now. This thing has gone stale really fast. I think culture issues have really come up. You brought in a guy like Berube to try to fix that and get them doing things the right way. They refused and went the opposite direction and had this absolute nightmare season. So everything's on the table. I think it comes down to, what can you get for the guy? I mean, if they can get some serious pieces back and some ready-to-play prospects and a stud D-man and a top, like, if you can check a whole bunch of boxes where you're like, Jesus, I feel like we're better based on what we've seen, then I think they would do it. I think that, there'd still be the people who are in love with the guy and have the poster on the wall and they're who are going to say, no, not my Austin. Fine. But I don't see how you can keep going with him and Willie and just expect things to be different. Like, the problem lies with the leadership and the culture and the mentality around game after game after game after year after year after year of them just not having the stuff needed to win in the National Hockey League, especially down the stretch. So again, I think anything's on the table. It's interesting that there's that narrative down in the States, and you talk about Billy Guerin and, who could be interested in this guy. I'm sure Leafs management would be like, I'd love to hear what some of that return could be. I think it's going to be hard to win that trade, but
yeah, like, do you think he'll be difficult? Like, is he going to be difficult? Like, hey, I'm going to LA, I'm going to New York. Like, do you think he's going to or do you think he's going to put the Leafs in a better position after the trade? You know what I mean? You think
he'll want to be in the driver's
seat situation?
Like, he'll want to be in the driver's seat. He's not just going to say, send me wherever. He's going to want to have final say, and he's got that power with his contract and the no trade. But how much he digs his heels in, I don't know. There lies the problem, right? If he's like LA or bust, well, good luck when LA knows that, winning that trade. And then all of a sudden, it's such a predicament, man. There's like 3-4 different angles of, like, they're just handcuffed and rocking a hard place right now.
I'm just curious, guys, like how he's perceived G in the league. Like how do you guys view Austin Matthews in Boston as opposed to even 2 years ago when he had 69 rips, right? He's just a different player. We graded him last week on Friday's show, and I think me and Zach Phillips, who's coasting that day, gave him a C plus. Like he's a shell of what he once was, and that's the most concerning part about this.
Yeah, I think but what he once was, that is I mean, scoring 70 goals a year, two-way hockey player, getting nominated for the Selke, like that, his peak it's just like he set the bar so high for himself. It's almost like tough to maintain that. He's still, I think where we stand in the States right now is like, he's a good two-way center. He's not going to be the, 70 goal scorer that he was a few years ago. I still would love for Austin Matthews to be on my team. I think you would be absolutely nuts to not want a guy like that. But yeah, he's not the Austin Matthews he used to be. I'm not expecting him to go out and score 70 goals a season, but I mean, the way guys around the league talk about him, I think they just know more than me. I don't know if it's just because he's a likable guy and no one wants to say anything bad about him, but like we talk to guys every day, like on just about every team across the league, and no one ever has really bad shit to say about the guy in terms of his on ice play. So, and it's actually not even that they have bad shit to say; they have great things to say about him. So, yeah, I'm a huge Matthews guy. I think. He brought us the gold medal. So,
tampering.
Along the same lines as that, like we get so close to it, and this market of Toronto and the bubble that we're in. I mean, you go around in circles in it quite a bit. I'm curious from your end, a rival organization, when you look at the Leafs and this season in particular, like what do you see from your vantage point?
Man, I think back to God, I don't want to ruffle too many feathers here, but I think back to the shit Austin Matthews and Brady Tkachuk had to deal with after the Olympics. Like the fucking questions they're getting left and right from the Toronto media. What are we doing here? Like the guys just achieved their childhood dream and won a gold medal. Welcome them back with open arms. Don't have such vitriol with your questions that you're asking. And if you're absolutely crazy if you think that those two guys didn't write that down on a little piece of paper and throw it away for this summer when they're thinking about when they have to go into their off-season meetings. Like this is I think it sucks for these guys, like the negativity they have to face on a nightly basis from the Steve Simmons of the world. And like some of these articles that were written about Austin, you're like, oh my God. And like, he notices this shit. He notices it. Like he absolutely does. You're telling me Judd's not in his ear about this stuff? Come on. Like we all know Juddy, and I'm sure it infuriates Judd too. So I think from the outside looking in, I feel bad that they have to deal with this stuff. I feel bad for guys like you who love the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you don't want this negative energy surrounding the team night in, night out. Like Jay, you played there, it sucks. The guys have to deal with this stuff. So from an American standpoint, and as a rival team, you're kind of like, I love this. I love seeing the dismay in Toronto and the fact that players are starting to notice that, hey, like maybe maybe playing in the Mecca of Toronto is not the play. Like maybe this media attention is, and I think back to like the Tkachuk pod and on the Wingmen pod, they were talking, Matthew and Brady, they're talking about, the questions Brady was asked after the whole situation happened. And a simple comment from Matthew was just like, hey, we don't get those type of questions down here in Florida. And you're they're saying that on a national podcast. Guys are saying that behind closed doors. Imagine what they're saying behind closed doors. So it's like, I don't know. I think I feel bad for the Leafs players. I feel bad for the diehard Leafs fans that have to deal with all this negative bullshit.
Don't you think that if the fucking Toronto Maple Leafs at any point in time over the last decade played with an ounce of fucking the stuff that the Florida Panthers have played with the last 3 years, they wouldn't answer any of those questions? Where do you think the questions come from? Yes, they're louder and there's more people there because of the market and because it's the center of the fucking hockey universe in their minds more than anything, but it is. Don't you think if they played like the fucking Cats, they would never have to answer another one of those questions again?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like,
Mic drop.
is Austin Matthews the issue though? Is he? Like at the end of the day, like when you're peppering him after he just won the gold medal, I don't know. I think we pick and choose our time to come at Austin Matthews. I don't think that was necessarily the best time. You know, guy's fresh off a gold medal. He's one of the best players in the world. He's probably not the issue. Maybe they should add a little piss and vinegar to their roster like the Bruins did this summer. I don't know. And you know what? Get a fucking goalie. Get a goalie. Go get a goalie. Build some defense, and none of these fucking issues happen. Am I wrong?
We've had goaltending. Man. Like you get to the playoffs and you face, I mean, why does this season happen? If you've watched every game this year from the Leafs, it's just this lifeless, passionless, energyless type of, it's just blank stares on their faces. And that is Austin Matthews. That is William Nylander. That has been Mitch Marner. And for 10 years, we're like, okay, well, like, it doesn't matter what fucking Dakota Joshuas we put around these guys. It's the same shit. And yes, Austin Matthews is a nice guy. Yes, everyone says good things about him, but maybe he's too much of a nice guy. He doesn't have any fuck you in him. He doesn't push back. He gets ragdolled. His buddies don't stand up for him. He doesn't stand up for himself. It's like, good luck beating the Florida Panthers. Good fucking luck. And we've watched the movie. Yeah,
you're right. You got me now. Like now that I think about like the picture the other night too of like Matthews gets leg checked. Nylander's like, I didn't even see it. And then they got the Getty image of him like staring directly at the hit. And you're like, buddy, come on, just go do something. So yeah, I guess you're right there. Like, I guess like it's deserved criticism. But yeah, I think you got to pick and choose your moments.
Yeah. Culture's flawed, and the only thing I would add on the Kachucks, all these people who have never played or coached in this market that got an opinion on this team. I'll just leave that conversation at that. Just to wrap, I'd love for you to rank these Toronto-Boston trades. Like, I think if there's one thing I've learned in the last year, maybe don't make a trade with the Boston Bruins ever again, because this is, 3 deals in the last 20 years, we'll say, going back to Rask for Raycroft, the Kessel deal, and now Carlo. Best to worst, rank them.
Gotta put Tuukka. Gotta put the Tuukka deal as one. I mean, Tuukka, like he's a Hall of Fame goalie. That was, and I love Razor too, but God, that was a swindle. And then like the Kessel you look back at Kessel it was Sagan, which ended up being Sagan and Dougie Hamilton, which that's I know those guys didn't have long Boston careers, but Jesus, that's another swindle. So I would probably go Rask, then the Kessel trade. And then last, I would say this Carlo, because Fraser Minten's awesome right now, and I'm having fun with you guys talking about how he's the future 1C, but we really don't know. Like he's great. He looks awesome right now, but he's got a lot of hockey left to be played.
All right, G, great stuff. I knew it was going to happen, you coming on this show, but a really, really fun debate, you and Rosie. And I think you guys, it's fair to victory lap. It's a joke that we're even talking about this, but it happened, and we're going to think about and talk about it down the road here. So appreciate your time today.
Great debate there, fellas. Rosie, I feel like you kind of stuffed me in a locker there with me saying like people are too negative about the Leafs, and then like instantly right after, I'm like, wait, yeah, you're right. Like, people should be negative. So that's Rosie 1, me 0, but I had a great time coming on with you guys.
Thanks, buddy. Take care. Man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I love you, boys. See ya.
Thanks, dude.
There's Mike Grinnell from Spittin Chiclets. That was a healthy debate. Really, really healthy debate. And I think as he was going through the debate there, G realized that, must have a point. But it's always that perception.
He's talking about the Olympic stuff and them getting in trouble for the Trump. Like, fuck, I don't sign up for any of that political bullshit in hockey. Like, I was not about that at all. I don't even think that was like Toronto media necessarily. Maybe I could be wrong. I didn't really pay attention. I'm just like, shut up, these guys. Like, it's just because of the big scary orange man. And the liberal media. That's why it went the way it did. That's it. That's got nothing to do with the Maple Leafs market and the media. In my mind, that was a separate thing. That's why he kind of picked that, because that stood out to them as Americans. Fine. But that's hard to do, man. Like there's probably some people listening going, why the fuck would you put this guy on right now to gloat? And my biggest reason was I just wanted to hear like what is the perception of people outside who like smile when they see us suffering and see this thing burning down. That's kind of why. But Yeah, that's kind of hard to do that. Have a Boston fan gloating on the thing, but it's relevant right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it had to be done. Obviously, G's connected to us. He went on Chiclets. He's a good dude. He means well. And I think
Yes.
Bruins fans have every reason to feel that way. And for as much as we hate that organization being Leafs fans, you sort of look at them and they're like the gold standard. They really are. And I think you have to accept that. I think the one thing that really resonated, and I think it was such a really good point, like the whole Nylander thing, you would never see, especially Patrice Bergeron or Zdeno Chara act that way. And I think it gets back to the greater conversation about there being a culture issue with this team, because somebody down the road at some point in time over the last decade set the standard that type of stuff is acceptable, or didn't address that type of standard. And now here we are 10 years later. Because again, from the Bees organization, the perception's been the same for a long period of time with that team.
Yeah, they have a culture and a tradition that is a certain way, and it's easy to fall in line with that. Where in Toronto, it's, they brought in John Tavares to try to be like the consummate professional, and kind of lead the way with that, and it didn't really work. And you show me, you could argue that Marchand, licking guys is not, we wouldn't like that in Toronto. Who would? Nobody liked that. And he went too far. And I think
who reined him in, right?
Right. Who reined him in? And those guys around there, those Charas and those types and those Bergerons. And I think he'd be, look at him now. Look at him now. He is one of the best agitators in the history of the game. And he just went a little bit too far with that, with the licking and stuff. And so I think that's kind of where that conversation goes. But with Toronto, like, I just, again, John Tavares was supposed to be that guy. He couldn't rein him in. Name a guy who's going to win that cup and get that thing passed and said, come on, boys, let's go. And doing the flipping off the camera and the dog fucking it on the back check and the wearing
Immature.
The wife beater at your NHL game for an original six. Like, you think Jonathan Toews, imagine Jonathan Toews cruised in with a fucking purse and earrings and flipped off the camera and was up in the press box when he's hurt wearing a wife beater. Like, imagine Jonathan Toews did that during the Blackhawks run. Like, no. We need men. We need fucking classy, hard men. And we just seem to have boys. Like, I just kind of look at these guys as kids. Like, they're immature. That's what it is. And they're immature. And when it's time to be a big boy, they're always stunned going, I don't know what to do in this situation. And they get fucking shelled and they blow a series and they lose a game 6 and 7. And it's just, I don't know, man. I mean, just like everyone else who likes this team, I rack my brain. I'm driving and I'm like, what the hell? Where do they go from here? What has been the problem? What have I seen? What have I noticed? What's a pattern? What's a theme? What do other teams have? What is it supposed to look like? What's gone wrong? And I just keep coming back to the same shit. And it's these stars that the team is built around that are immature and have just proven it time and time and time again. And there's no better example than I think this season right now.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. As mentioned, the Leafs getting set to face off against the Boston Bruins for the third and final time. They're 1-2-2 since Matthews went down. And it's the mentors trip. And you could tell this was put together last minute because I guess Jake Gardiner is Morgan Rielly's mentor in Boston. How does that work?
Shut up. That's so random. Like running a buddy from high school or something. That's weird. Jake, what do they call him? Silver. We used to call him Silver Stick because he kind of, I think Dion gave him that name because he acted like he had 1,000 games in the league already. But oh fuck, too funny. Throwback. Jake Gardiner coming on the road. Okay, cool.
I didn't realize you played with Jake Gardiner.
Yeah, I overlapped with him a bit there. No, he came in and looked pretty promising. Had some confidence. Oh man, talking about those Boston guys, like when they need to rebuild, the guys are there. They've got the guys to pick from, and they get the guys every time we need something. There is nothing available. We need a right-hand D-man. We got to pay out the fucking nose for Carlo, and it's funny how Grinnell said that too because I keep wondering, like, are you serious, Carlo? Not jumping in on certain situations. Your goalie gets run. Austin blows his knees up. How are you not playing a little bit more gruff when you're 6'5", and I forgot about that. That was one of the caveats when we got him, is saying like, dude, he's a concussion away. That easily could have been the story with him. Luckily, knock on wood, he's stayed healthy as far as his concussion history. But that's got to be why he refuses to get in there and be physical and be a guy, as he's worried about getting bonked. God damn it. Just another shitty thing. Rough stuff, man. But yeah, it's just a theme of just losing trades, picking up the wrong guys, being hamstrung and not having to make a move, but the right one's not available. I think it's probably going to happen again this offseason with free agency, where the stuff we need is just simply not available, and you're going to have to probably overpay for the best thing available to get them up to Toronto. Just not good, man. Just not a lot of gleaming lights at the end of the tunnel here.
In support of Sick Kids, we got 2 super chats to get to. Tammy writes in, Rosie, who would win in a purse fight, 88 or 34? Who's your money on?
Tammy, don't be sick. I don't know. It depends how many accessories they were filled with and how much weight was behind it. I don't know. Jesus. It's not a good look. Like, the fact you even asked that question is just like, this is name another organization where you're saying that. They literally, it's a fair question. I don't have the answer.
Imagine like the roles are reversed and it was like the Oilers and Draisaitl was like Nylander and Matthews is McDavid. How the media would react there. Like, would you ever see Draisaitl walk in that way, or McDavid? It's very businesslike. I know they haven't climbed the summit and won that Stanley Cup, but it just feels like the Leafs are the only team where it's Willie being Willie. Everybody else is like, no, there's a standard, and you're either going to live by that standard or you're going to go play elsewhere. Plain and simple.
Or McKinnon or Crosby or Nick Lidstrom or like fucking. No, they were men with a job to do, and these guys have other friggin' motives and priorities, and they're cut from a different cloth and a different generation. And holy fuck, does it ever not lend itself to winning? I'll tell you that. That's what I know. That's not what I'm guessing or trying to split hairs or put some weird narrative together. That's what I know. Every time these guys need to have their identity as a team and what they've learned in this league show up, they fall so flat that it embarrasses the whole goddamn organization. So that's been proven in my mind. And because of that reason, the whole narrative and all these thoughts of making drastic changes, the only reason it's on the table is because what those guys have proven time and time again.
Maxentius Decimus, thank you for the super chat. Does 88 live stream their off-season fashion show? The YouTube channel, forgot about that.
Say that again?
Does Nylander live stream his off-season fashion show?
Oh, I thought you were going to say he like put out there that he's doing some fashion show thing. No, I don't know what he does, man. I don't know. It's like,
it's Willie.
When you act that way and you lose like that, like those NBA guys, when they dress up in the crazy stuff, or like Cam Newton dressing up in all that weird shit. Yeah. I'm always just like, I'd always be like, okay, if I go there and lose or underperform, like, how fucking stupid am I going to feel going into my locker and looking at all these feathers and stupid shit and this weird costume you put on to come to the rink, and then go to your interview saying I wasn't good enough, I wasn't prepared, I don't have this team on the... it's just, why risk that? I don't understand the appeal. I'm an older, simpler dude. Fine, I guess. But like, Willie, is it ever time to get down to business and Willie being Willie? Yeah, I know it's Willie being Willie. That's the fucking problem that I have here. Talented as he is. And yeah, it's disgusting to look back at the beginning of this era and what it became so far. And I'm assuming, I don't know, maybe there won't be any changes, and we'll see if we can do it next year and find another Dakota Joshua to see if these guys wake the fuck up. But I have my serious doubts.
I can't remember a time in the last decade, and maybe I'm incorrect, that there was a scathing post-game comment from one of the Maple Leafs leaders, Tavares, Riley, Nylander, Marner, Matthews, a la what we've seen from Connor McDavid even over the last couple of weeks, even calling the Pacific Division a pillow fight. There has never been that one moment where it's like, guys, I'm dragging you into the fight, play up to my level, play up to my standards. And that to me is concerning. I understand it's a different era. Guys are built a bit differently these days, but there hasn't been that captivating moment where you're like, this guy is fully on board. He'll do anything possible to win. Like, for example, and it's a bad comp, but like in Edmonton, like you can tell seeing and watching Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, they want to win so badly. Do you get that perception when you watch Matthews and Nylander and those guys play hockey?
Not to the same degree. No, it's been my critique of them. Like the passion and the desire and the willingness to do anything. Like they have not really shown that they're willing to get out of their comfort zone at all. As soon as it becomes a little bit more of a playoff game than a regular season game, they go, whoa, they take a big step back every time. So, and that's always later in the series. And the closest they've ever been was, kind of shocking the Florida Panthers in the first 2 games and getting up 2. And then they showed their bite, and it was just backpedaling from then on. No, I can't see them doing that. And when they do their interviews and stuff, I don't put any stock into those, especially in Toronto, because it's just such a protected vibe of, let me just say the right things here so that you can't pick it apart. And you know what? As far as the media goes, I understand that. I've seen that and felt it, where it is a lot of media and they are hungry and they want to take any little clip and clip the shit out of it and put it on blast and have it as the headline. And they've done it 100 times. That's why the players get there and say, I'm not going to be the guy that gives you that. So they give you sweet FA. But it would be nice if sometimes someone just said something other than we're close or whatever. Maybe Austin tried that with his passengers comment, but like, they just never say, this is fucking unacceptable. I'm sick to my stomach. You just watch next game. We'll be doing everything we can to rectify it, because that is not what this team's about, and it is not how this is going to go down, and we are doing everything in our power to make sure that never fucking happens again. And that's what the vibe is in this locker room. People would be like, fuck yeah. At least they're feeling what we're feeling. No, it's always like, what the hell did they say? And what did that mean? And who's he talking about? It's just always so weird, man. I sure wish it was a little more black and white and you could get behind, because you have to do mental gymnastics the last couple of years to get behind these guys and the way they operate.
They're very disconnected, disjointed. There just seems to be a massive disconnection, at least from what they say on the day-to-day, from what we actually feel as a fan base. And you're right about the passengers comment. Like, the irony of the fact that it was the biggest passenger of them all that's talking about there being too many passengers. Well, it's like it starts with you. But this is not a pile up on Austin Matthews. This is a systemic issue. I think it's a culture issue with this team. And I'm just very curious to see what the next couple months look like. At any way, it's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Tired of waiting for the end of the game to get paid? Ready to move on to the next puck drop? That's why Bet365, an official partner of the NHL, has 3-goal early payout if the team you're riding goes up 3 goals. At any point in the game, they'll pay your bet out early. Hockey moves fast, and now with 3-goal early payout, there's one less thing you have to wait around for. Bet365, download the app and see what early payouts all about. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit ConnexOntario.ca. Any bets you're looking at? I'm going to take Boston in regulation, please, because I need that. We want that, right? But it would be very leafy to go here into Boston and win this game.
Who do you think's going to stand out more, Fraser Minten or Brandon Carlo?
Fraser Minten, because he's the number 1 center. He's playing with Khusnutdinov and Pasternak tonight.
Yeah, I've got him to have anytime point tonight. It would just be fitting for the abuse that we take as Leafs fans. So I don't like it, but I think it's as reasonable as anything else on the docket.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be a long night on social media. Minton's going to do something. Carlo's going to do something. And we're going to be reminded of the trade for many, many years to come. Like, I think it's so interesting. Mike Grinnell comes on, and we have like 3 prime examples in the last 20 years of just awful, awful transactions between the Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins. And he ranks them, and number 3 on that list is actually the Carlo deal, which tells you there are 2 deals prior even fucking worse than this deal, Rosie.
I would argue this one could be worse depending on what that pick is. Like he said, you get a stud D-man that plays 1,000 games for your organization. Like that is that thing that the Leafs have been missing for years and years and years, and very much could use right now. It depends what that pick becomes, but that is where the likelihood of this thing haunting them forever and ever and becoming probably the worst one they've ever made. Rask will be hard to get over, but yeah, dude, it has potential to be very, very bad. And again, it's why this whole tanking thing is kind of hinging on that. You could kick that down the road and make it not as devastating, but there's potential for it to be as bad as it gets.
I'm going to play the Stolars over on saves. Anthony Stolars will start this game, meaning Joseph Wall will get the game against the Rangers tomorrow night. Morgan Riley back in, OEL playing, and Michael Pezzetta will be in for Cali Yarncroke. Do we see a Pezzetta scrap tonight against either Kastelik or Jeannot? Probably, eh?
You think so? Fuck. Maybe if he really wants to. I don't know. I just hope he runs around and tries to create some energy and emotion and forechecks and crushes a guy here and catches a guy trying to break out without shoulder checking and runs around. And they have to come after him and scrap him. Like, that's what I want. I don't just want to opening face off. Let's fight. Like, do like invoke your will on it some other way with some physicality. And then if that leads to a fight, be there to answer the bell and then pick your shit up and come out of the box and keep doing it. So they're like, fuck, we can't stop this guy. Every time we throw at him, like usually you challenge a guy to fight or tell him to settle down and you're coming, he'll settle down a little bit because he's like, I don't feel like fighting tonight. Force their hand. And if they want to do it, fine. He'll be there to do it and then keep running around. That's what I want to see. Some fucking emotion and some energy and some physicality and some give a shit out of the guy. That's more important to me.
All right, bud. We'll chat tomorrow. Dave Feschuk of the Toronto Star is going to drop by, give his analysis on the final 10 games after this one for this Maple Leafs team, where they go from here. So great stuff today, and we'll talk tomorrow, bud.
And I'm supposed to be flying to Toronto today. Just I don't know.
Oh yes, that's right.
So we're gonna have to talk off air, but there's a chance we'll be live in studio tomorrow, depending on how things go out there. But very well could be doing a live studio show. Sorry to spring that on you. I know I've been a little behind the ball with communication.
All good. Thank you to Mike Grinnell of Spittin Chiclets for dropping by today at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Want to Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to check out theleafsnation.com. Thank you to producer Vic. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. We'll talk tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.